Hello, students. Rain on the Roof. This poem by Coates Kinney in your beehive, prepared by me, your teacher, Sumit. Right. So, let's know something about Coates Kinney. Born in 1826 and died in 1904. He was an American lawyer, politician, journalist, and a poet as well. So, even lawyers can be poets, right? See, Coates Kinney. When we look at the skies, don't you get fascinated the vastness and the immensity of the skies? And particularly when it is dark, dark up in the skies, the dark clouds, water laden monsoon clouds. Yes, and how pleasant it is for all of us to bathe in rains and to enjoy the monsoons. Yes, pakoras and probably a drive out in the rains, or it could be friends out, or even a hot chai, hot cup of tea over sweetmeats or spicy treat outside on a roadside joint. Isn't that so? That is the monsoon cloud. Now, this poem deals with the experience of the poet in rains, and in particular when he is listening to the pitter patter of the soft rain. And see, this poet is actually not bathing in the rains. He has grown up, and still he loves to listen to the patter of the rains on the roof of his house. Yes or no? Ever bathed in rains? How do you like that? Children do particularly like it. They often find it an opportunity to give vent to their adventurous spirits and free themselves out, throw themselves out on the rains, in the rains rather. It could be the rooftops, the terrace, or the streets, or the pools, even the muddy puddles which your parents might be prohibiting, asking you not to go into. But children are children. Yes, what thoughts flashed through your mind as you heard this melody of nature? This is a melody of nature actually. Nature, when it's abundant, full of glory and full of water up in the skies, it rains. And in this particular poem, the rain sound, the rain music, the sound and the music of the rains can be heard on the roof where the poet lives. Well, let's start the poem. These are the first 4 lines in the first stanza. When the humid shadows hover over all the starry spheres, and the melancholy darkness gently weeps in rainy tears. When the humid shadows hover over all the starry spheres. Well, humid shadows. And that's my first question. What do you mean by humidity? And which is the humid season amongst all the 6 seasons that are experienced in India? What is the humid season called? Is it monsoon or the rainy season? Isn't it? Yes. When the humid shadows. Why is this shadows written over here? Any clue? Don't the clouds up in the sky cast shadows up on the earth? So when do the humid shadows come into existence? Don't you see the clouds casting shadow on the earth whenever it's about to rain, and it is humid all around? So enough indications of the rains coming. So exactly that the poet is talking about, the humid shadows. See the adjective that he has given to the shadows, humid shadows. Shadows can't be humid or dry, but look at the beauty of this poetry. The humid shadows simply means it's not just the shadow cast by the sun when a tree or a building comes into its view, but it's a humid shadow. That is the shadows cast by the dark clouds that are hovering over all the starry spheres. Now, this is a pretty much important question. This is a pretty much important question, so I would rather mark it. Starry spheres. What actually is meant by it? Starry spheres. For sure, it refers to the stars, isn't that? So, which time of the day is it? Isn't it night? For sure. This is the night time when the stars are there up in the sky, but they just look like, they are obscure, they are hidden behind the clouds, and they are hovered over. In fact, the clouds are hiding them up. So the stars and their spherical shapes are not visible in any way. In fact, even the moon could not be seen. And the melancholy darkness gently weeps in rainy tears. This is one of those most important questions here coming up for you actually. This is one of those most important parts of the poem which will tell you whether the poet is happy or he is sad in these moments. Look, the melancholy darkness weeps in rainy tears. Rainy tears, rains are associated with happiness, with exuberance of energy. When the nature decides to wet the whole earth, clean the atmosphere, and give rise to new plants upon the earth, and excite the people, enthrall them, and live in the whole earth, give life to the new plants and whole of the earth. Isn't that so? But here it seems like the poet is not happy. See, the poet is not happy. Or how would you explain the tears then? It is the tears that are important. Rains to a sad heart. The point is, rain drops or the rains to a sad heart would seem to be like crying. If a person is not happy, if he is sad, he or she is not happy, sad, or melancholy. Melancholy exactly refers to this sad mood of the poet. Melancholy means sadness, deep sadness. So whenever a person is sad and it starts to rain, then he or she cannot see rains in a very happy light. Some or the other sadness of his heart is transferred onto the raindrops also. So the rain becomes sad, as if it is crying, as if the skies are shedding tears of sadness, as if the sky is weeping. So my next question is exactly this. I would want to ask you a very important question. We discussed about starry spheres. This is all about night. So the rain that is mentioned over here is in the night. Okay. In what mood does the poet seem to be? That's very important. Does the poet seem to be sad or does he seem to be happy? Yes, he is sad. He is melancholy, and melancholy is a word which you have to remember. He is sad. There's two words: melancholy, weeps, tears. Three words rather. These three tell you about the sad mood of this poet. Coming to the next question, what do these rainy tears indicate? We discussed it. Rainy tears, actually it's the mood of the poet transferred to the rains, and it is called, it's a figurative device actually, which is called transferred epithet. So students, let me repeat this. A figurative or literary device is called transferred epithet, wherein the poet transfers his or her emotions. They could be of happiness or sadness, whichever, or jealousy or envy or anger, like any of the emotions. He or she transfers his emotions onto the objects around, or the things around, or even the animals or insects around, even trees around. For example, if I'm angry and if I look at a certain winds around me which are fast, so fast winds are blowing, and I would say angry winds are blowing. Probably I am angry, so the winds seem to be angry. Isn't that so? Like You are at the seashore and the waves are rushing onto you. You could say, these are cruel waves coming onto you. Of course, they cause cruelty. They drown people and they can even kill people on the shores. But they seem to be cruel actually. They don't have any emotions inherent in them. So you are actually projecting your emotions to the outside. You are projecting your inside onto the outside, and that is called transfer of emotions between two different objects which are absolutely unrelated. So the poet is transferring his emotions onto the rains. He says the rains are actually the tears of the sky. The skies are shedding tears through rains. Okay, let's move ahead. What a bliss to press the pillow of a cottage chamber bed and lie listening to the patter of the soft rain overhead. What a bliss. You need to understand what bliss is. Bliss means an inexpressible happiness, a happiness which you cannot express. It is impossible to express. That is bliss. So what a bliss to press the pillow. Now the poet is actually lying on, putting his head on a pillow, resting. He's pressing the pillow of a cottage chamber bed. So now it's pretty clear. He is onto the bed and on his cottage. Cottage means bed. And lie listening to the patter of the soft rain overhead. He's listening to the soft patter. Now who is this person saying these lines? Pretty clear. Correct. It's the poet. Bliss could mean what? Like I said, inexpressible happiness. Or is it inexpressible sadness? That is pretty clear, as I just discussed. Which activity gets the poet into a bliss while lying on bed? What is he doing? What is he doing? It is actually inherent in the question itself. He is lying on the bed and is listening. The actual activity is he is listening to the raindrops, the pitter patter, the music of the rains on the roof of his house. Where is it raining according to these lines? Pretty clear. You will be able to answer. Let's move ahead. Every tinkle on the shingles has an echo in the heart, and 1,000 dreamy fancies into busy being start. Interesting. Every tinkle on the shingles. Now again some strange words probably for you. Shingles, you may not be knowing. Shingles actually are the rectangular wooden tiles that some of the houses rooftops, the ceiling of the houses are made of. The roof is made up of certain wooden tiles, and it is not particularly in an Indian context. So there the houses do have wooden tiles for the measure of decoration and for the utilitarian purpose also. These are the tiles actually on the roof. So every tinkle on the shingles, tinkle means the music of the sound, music of the rain that falls, the tinkling on the shingles has an echo in the heart. Now that sound is reverberating, echoing in the heart of the poet. That is, the rain is causing a music, giving rise to music in the heart of the poet. And well, is that music sad or is it a happy music? We will find out. Although we have had a little bit of peep into what state of mind he had been, melancholy, of course. So music must have been a sad music. But let's see. And 1,000 dreamy fancies into busy being start. 1,000 dreamy fancies. Poet is thrown into, actually blissed out into 1,000 dreamy fancies. Fancy means something similar to dreams, but fancy actually is collected from your memories. You have to remember this. I need to tell you about it. Fancy and dream both are different actually. Let's see. Fancies are collected from your memories, and then you piece them together, and then they become a certain composite dreams. So those are fancy. Like I fancy I had a cup of tea. How and where would you get a cup of tea from? In first you will imagine it. How how good it be if I had a cup of coffee or tea, then I would say I fancy. Fancies are from your memories. So is some of his memory getting stirred up? Is the poet suddenly getting into some of his long lost fond memories, some lovely memories? Well, or are they sad memories? Let's see. But the lines tell us, and a thousand dreamy fancies into busy being start. That is, they start being busy. Suddenly, some memories get awakened up out of him. But let's see whose memories will come to in the next stanzas. But some questions in the first place. What do these raindrops induce in the poet's heart? They induce some memories, some dreams, some fancies. Shingles I already told you about. What is a rhyming scheme? Very important. I expected you to know that. So I made just a question. I know you know. Heart start. Yeah, it's a rhyme. Shingles is not been rhyming with fancies, but heart start. So B, B. Second line, last word, fourth line, last word are rhyming with each other. And a thousand recollections weave their air threads into woof as I listen to the patter of the rain upon the roof. Woof, roof again, you see. That is technical part of it. Now the concept, the understanding. And a thousand recollections. Now this word recollection is proving my point, children. I'll show you how. This is proving my point. Recollection means you're collecting some pieces of your memories, perhaps which are latent in your heart and triggered, brought alive by those raindrops upon the roof. So he collects all those dormant or not so dormant memories, not so hidden. In fact, they just needed opportunities of rains to come out and um, make the poet write this poetry. He recollects some memories, some fond memories perhaps, and weaves them into woof. Woof is actually the threads of a loom, the threads of a cloth, the crisscross patterns of cloths. The x and y axis, the threads are woven together to make a woof and warp. So those are the threads and used to make clothes, and they are done in looms. The hand woven looms, the looms which are woven, which are used by hands, are called hand looms, and there are mills also in which there are looms. But here he is weaving memories. So those are the air threads. The threads are not material, they are not physical threads that we see. It is the air threads, that is the threads of his memory, the old pieces of memories. Like I said, the threads of his memory, he's putting one thread onto the other, and they are so intricately woven together to form a woof that he suddenly gets in the rush of those memories, thousands of recollections, as I listen to the patter of the rain upon the roof. What is the sound of rain as mentioned in the above lines? Pitter patter, pitter patter. Woof means, like I said, threads woven across the loom. How can air threads be woven? Do you also weave dreams through your imaginations? Well, that is the actual meaning of air threads. When you are weaving your dreams, weaving your imaginations actually to form a certain dream, that is called air threads. Weaving air threads. Weaving air threads. I'm not saying weaving air castles. Weaving air castles has altogether a different meaning. That's a proverb, an idiom rather, where non-realizable things are imagined and you just end up wasting your time and energy. Air castles. As you say, Hawaii kile banana. But in this case, it is not Hawaii kile, it is air threads. It is imaginations. on the part of the poet. He is lying down, relaxing, but suddenly a torrent of emotions stir him. And those memories are of whom we will come to know, whose memories trouble him, torment him, in fact, soothe him sometimes. Yeah, that's a comforting memory. Or is it a troubling memory? We will get to know. We are not to be in a hurry. We will get to know by and by. Let's enjoy each and every line. Relate some of your dreams. Now, that is what I want you to do. Which season do you like the most? You could also recollect some of your memories related to that season. Which is your favorite? And why has it been your favorite season? Moving on. Now in memory comes my mother, as she used in years agone to regard the darling dreamers ere she left them till the dawn. Ere means before. It's an old form. Actually, it's an old form of saying before. Before used to be written as ere, E-R-E, in Old English. Thousands, hundreds of years ago actually, it used to be written this way. So before she left them till the dawn. Now in memory comes my mother. Now your answers all have been answered here. Whose memory and whose memories, whose fancies come rushing onto his heart? Yes, his mother's. As she used in years agone. Agone means the years which have gone. She used to. Now question actually comes in relation with these lines. My question. Whose memories does the poet recollect? It is his mother's. Do you think her mother is alive now? Very importantly. Yes, probably she is not alive. In all probability rather. Because the second line tells you, as she used in years agone. That means she used to. And if you could connect this, she used with to regard in the next line. See, if you could connect this with, I'll help you do this. She used to connect, to regard rather. And these three words can be kept aside for a while. So connect these two lines. When you connect them, you get clear idea of what the poet wants to say. When you connect them, you will get the clear idea. As she used to regard the darling dreamers. Now what does regard means? To take care. She used to be very caring for the dreamers. That means probably, again I would say in all probability, the poet's mother was must have been a very sensitive woman, and she used to take great care of the poet as well as his brothers or sisters. So to regard the darling dreamers, and on a more comprehensive level, it could be said, because the question comes up next is, what could you mean by darling dreamers? Darling dreamers, the more and the total, the holistic and the comprehensive meaning could be like rains induce dreams in every sensitive heart. So rains, the monsoon season, monsoon season creates dreams and new aspirations. And biologically speaking, of course, rains give life to new plants. Yes or no? It gives rise to new life on earth, and it gives rise to our creativity as well. So the dreamers always love monsoon season. Monsoon season is a darling season, and again I can appreciate this use of da again in alliteration. I might just as well write it over here as well. Alliteration is a repetition of the first alphabet in two consecutive words. You must know, perhaps you may already be knowing it. Alliteration is again a figurative device, right? Darling dreamers. And the poet's mother rather used to love all the dreamers. She herself must have been a dreamer, a poet. So every dreamer to her must have been a darling dreamer. She was very caring and loving to all those dreamers, and poet must have received a lot of love from his mother. But then, before she left them till the dawn, there's an indication that probably the poet's mother may have died in the night before it was dawn. I get a sense, perhaps, I get a feeling. The interpretation again is all yours. I cannot force this interpretation on anybody, because poetry is free. Poetry, once it's written, it's open to interpretation to everybody. You think over, or why would this line come? Before she left them till the dawn. There could be other meanings also, but then she must have left the poet probably in the night, and more so when it must have been raining. Yes, till the dawn. And there could be another interpretation, like the poet's mother could have been used to have a habit of, may have been habituated to keeping awake the whole night and take care and listen to the rains. She must have been a dreamer, as the poet has already indicated, right? Dawn means time of sunrise, like I've written over here. The poet's mother regard darling dreamers till dawn. Why does the poet dreams of her mother? I have already had a lot of discussion on this. He dreams because her mother must have been a lover of rains and must have been a very, very caring lady, very poetic woman who used to listen to the rains, and must have been in a habit of relating poetry to their children while it rained. Well, which poetic device does the poet use in Darling Dreamer's Dawn? Naturally, it is alliteration. And remember, the last two lines indicate to a certain phenomenon where the poet could have been missing his mother so much, more so in the rains, during the rains. Probably there is a little subtle, very subtle indication that the mother may have left him forever in the night before it was dawn, and she may have been a great lover of rains as well, and while listening to the rain and relating poetry to her children, she may have left their children forever, probably. Now let's come to the conclusion of this poem. Oh, I feel her fond look on me as I list to this refrain, which is played upon the shingles by the patter of the rain. Oh, I feel her fond look on me. Fond means loving. Fond means very caring. Fond means full of love. Very caring look on me. I feel the poet is tremendously, terribly missing his mother. Now it's for sure. And next he goes on to say, as I list to his refrain. It is actually reduced form of listen. So as I and to find the harmony in the particular lines, because there is a pattern of breaths while you write. So to justify the meter of the lines, he has written as I list to this refrain. Actually, it is as I listen to this refrain. Refrain is a repetition, actually. Like in every song as well, you must have been listening. The first two lines followed by a paragraph, and then again the first two lines get repeated. So these first two lines or first three lines or even first four lines, first lines are particularly repeated between paragraphs and the beginning as well, and they do come at the very end as well, and they have a certain tone and tune to them, right? That is called refrain. So the raindrops also cause a lot of refrain. They are refrain. They are continuously pattering on the roof, so it's a refrain. So I feel as if, like when I listen, the poet says, when I listen to this refrain of the pitter patter, and the musical melody of these raindrops on my terrace, on the rooftop, I feel that my mother is fondly looking on me. She wants me to again listen to them, as if Just as I would listen to her, I'll listen to the raindrops also, which is played upon the shingles. As I listen to this refrain, which is played upon the shingles. Continue. Try to be in a continuum. When the second line runs into this third line, it makes a complete sentence. As I listen to this refrain, as I listen to this refrain finds connection with this. As I listen to this refrain, which is played upon the shingles, the roof has got raindrops on them, and they are playing upon the shingles. Shingles, I have told, these are the wooden tiles on the roof. So they play upon the shingles by the patter of the rain. So I suddenly get lost in the memories of my mother when this refrain is heard, and the raindrops cause such a music as my mother would create when she was alive. So this is important. Oh, I feel her fond look on me. Who is this her? His mother. Oh, now that is a lament in his tone. He is regretting, he is missing, he is feeling lonely, and is finding solace and refuge in the raindrops. So he is missing her mother's fond look. He says, oh, I feel her fond look on me as I listen to this refrain, which is played upon the shingles by the patter of the rain. As I listen to this refrain, like this question also asks, what does refrain mean? Refrain simply means a musical repetition of certain lines or certain sounds, which are repeated or is repeated to cause a music in your ears. So as I listen to this refrain, and naturally the raindrops are causing music in his heart. So he says, the refrain which is played upon the shingles by the patter of the rain. The patter of the rain causes this music, this refrain, and he is all but happy. Or is he happy? Probably yes, happy, because her mother suddenly comes onto her heart alive. So who could be happier? But then that is a regretful happiness, because he is missing her mother and her look on him. The way a mother looks at her child, so she is so full in his heart, the mother is so full in his heart, that the fullness of rains are a direct remembrance of the fullness of a mother's love, right? We listen to refrain in songs which is often repeated before paragraphs, like I told you already. Shingles are rectangular wooden tiles used on roofs. So rain's pitter patter on roof brings back mother's fond memories. So the poet's mother used to treat the poet and his siblings, that is the dreamers, the poet is a dreamer, with love and care, and the poet misses his mother and dreams of her whenever it rains. Very important it is for everybody to understand that every melody of nature, every message that the nature brings to us should resonate in our heart. We should be open to the nature. Probably this poem is enough proof for all of us to understand that be it rains or be it sun or be it winds, they have a certain message for us, and a certain love is generated in our hearts if we are sensitive enough to feel it. Thank you.